Tisteach chuig teach a Céili. You're very welcome to Céili House, and we're in Liberty Hall in Dublin for a very, very special programme tonight. On stage are members of the Kelly Ensemble. Also with us tonight on the programme, Al O'Donnell, John Sheehan, Barney McKenna, Ronnie Drew, Eamon Campbell. Jimmy Kelly, of course, is the leader of the Kelly Ensemble, a group of musicians with whom he plays and sings regularly. Jimmy, of course, is the brother of the great Dublin folk singer and balladeer Luke Kelly, who died 20 years ago yesterday. We celebrate the memory and the contribution of Luke Kelly to Irish traditional and folk music throughout Europe and the world during his all too short lifetime on tonight's programme. As always, we start off with a few reels from the band, so would you please welcome the Kelly Ensemble as they play the Golden Keyboard and the Trip to Durrow. Great appreciation for the Kelly Ensemble, and the members of that ensemble are Ollie Farrelly on the accordion, Brendan Farrelly on the banjo, John Kelly on fiddle, Mick Hand on concert flute, Mick Mullen is on guitar, and the conductor is Jimmy Kelly, who also sings a song with the band from time to time. The Kelly Ensemble. You could catch one, two, or maybe all of them here at Liberty Hall any Monday night at the Clay Club. Now, we're here to celebrate the memory and the contribution, I suppose, of one of our great balladeers, that's Luke Kelly. And when I mentioned to Jimmy Kelly about tonight, the first name he mentioned that should be here was Al O'Donnell, because you go back a long way with Luke Kelly.
That is true. We go back more or less to the early 60s, 62, 63.
How did you come in contact with him first?
Well, I first met Luke when I was an art student in college in Nottingham. And I'd come home for holidays. And the scene was just beginning to move here. And of course, Ronnie and the boys, the Ronnie Drew group, were playing fantastic stuff. And they were the most exciting thing to happen. They broke the mold of all. The show bands were very worried because suddenly there was a whole new sound on the block. It was a bit like Elvis Presley turning up and blowing away all of the other people, like the crooners of that day. Overnight they knew their show was over, and Ronnie and the boys had started a tremendous movement. Of course, there was always the traditional musicians around anyway. You know, in Dublin, you had the Castle Céili band and all of the other powerful musicians. There was a tremendous number of good pipers and fiddlers, and singers, but they weren't given prominence at that time. Traditional music wasn't really given anything like the respect that it should have had. It had the respect in places like Clare, where you had always had the respect for the music, and the music was alive. But here, you know, if you played traditional music, you were sent out of a pub. I was invited to leave a pub because I walked in with a banjo on my shoulder, in its case, and this guy said, "Oh, you can go straight back out of here with that thing." Out.
There's a lot of people who'd say that about banjo players, Al, you know.
Well, I know. Well, you know, it's a bit tougher on accordion players sometimes, but the barroom players get a tougher time.
Now, why do you think that the Dubliners broke that mould?
Well, I think because there was a sudden... people were beginning to realise that you really had some valuable music here. You had people like Dominic Bean writing super excellent songs at the time, topical songs of the period. Dominic wrote brilliant songs like Crooked Jack about the plight of the Irish guys who were treated like dirt in Britain. Now, I mean, there are many guys here who have spent their years in Britain, and as I have done. And now, I was lucky, I was there as a college student, but many of the guys were there digging holes and working in building sites and all, and that was a much tougher business altogether.
And then Luke Kelly, tell us a little about him.
Well, Luke, of course, came in, and of course the fiery red hair and the voice that was straight from the heart and blasted straight out, and he just stopped people dead because he was a super singer of great songs.
You're going to sing a song that's close to your heart, and you know it's close to Luke's as well.
Indeed. I'm going to sing this lovely song called The Night Visiting Song, and Luke and I would have learned it at around about the same time around the British scene. Because remember, there was some lovely singers going at that time, and this would be mainly from a marvellous lady singer, Ray Fisher, and she was the first person I ever heard sing this song. It was the first really good song I ever learned, and I suspect it was close to the first one Luke learned as well.
Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Al O'Donnell.
I must away now, I can no longer tarry. This morning's tempest I have to cross. I must be guided without a stumble into the arms I love the most. And when he came to his true love's dwelling, he's knelt down gently upon the stone, and through the window he's whispered slowly, is my true lover within at home? She's raised her head from off her down white pillow. She's raising the blanket from off her breast, and through the window she's whispered slowly, who's that disturbs me at my night's rest? Wake up, love, it is your own true lover. Wake up, love, and let me in, for I am wet, love, and oh so weary. For I am wet, love, unto my skin. She's raised her up with the greatest of pleasure. She's raised her up and let him in, and they were locked in each other's arms until the long night was past and gone. And when the long night was past and over, and when the storm clouds began to grow, he's ta'en her hand, they've kissed and parted. He saddled and mounted, and away did go.
The night visiting song there from Al O'Donnell and John Sheehan of the Dubliners. A few memories there for you from that song.
Indeed, yeah. Al was around in those early days in the 60s, Kieran, and he was a regular in O'Donoghue's, of course, and I often heard himself and Luke singing that song.
Now, Luke, of course, 20 years dead since yesterday. It doesn't seem like 20 years ago. I remember the funeral, and it was a hugely emotional time, but I thought at the time a fantastic funeral. Errol Gill and yourselves are playing music. It was a beautiful day.
It was a memorable occasion, all for the wrong reasons, of course. Yeah. Losing Luke, I suppose, was a bit like losing a brother from a family. You know, we'd worked together for so long. Very emotional day, but one we'll never forget.
I know, and you don't forget it because each year you have your own ritual.
That's right. Well, mainly the Kelly family and a few close friends and musicians. We always visit the grave or the nearest Sunday to the anniversary. And we have our own little kind of routine there. Jimmy, Luke's brother, he lays a wreath on the grave. And there's usually some personality, some well-known person comes along and says a few words in Luke's memory. And then we play a few tunes and finish off up in the teachers' club usually.
Now, I was asking you earlier just to try and think of one of your greatest memories of Luke or his achievements.
Well, I suppose we all remember Luke for various reasons, the wonderful singer and interpreter of songs that he was. When Luke sang a song, he put a certain stamp on it that made it somehow the definitive version of that song, and other versions after that quite often became poor imitations, I think. That'd be his kind of professional life, but I remember him very well for his generosity. He's a very generous man, and he'd no real value really on material things at all. I was in his house one day and spotted this beautiful table that his wife Deirdre was after buying at an auction. And my wife Mary had been at an auction, some other location in town a few weeks before, and she bought a set of chairs that were the exact match for this table. And I said to Luke in a kind of a joke, Luke, you know, either you'll have to give me this table or I'll have to give you the chairs. I told him the whole story. And he said, have you got a car outside? Have you got a roof rack on it? And I said, yeah. And before he could stop me at the table, out the door and up on top of the roof rack, he said, you take it. And that's the way he was, you know.
You wrote a poem.
I did. I have a little poem here in my pocket. I have to put on me over 60s to read this now. But yeah, I spent about a half an hour up at the grave last year on my own, thinking about Luke. And when you visit the grave and see this beautiful, simple gravestone, it's an upright, rectangular slab of granite, Dublin granite. And the inscription is so simple. The epitaph, all it says is Luke Kelly, Dubliner. Just 3 words says it all. And I began to think about the various qualities of the stone and how aspects of that related to Luke and his life. And I wrote this little poem. Luke's gravestone, cold as the wind that carried your ghost, silent as the songs that remain unsung, lonely as an echo from the jail of Clonmala, solitary as your silhouette, going home by railings after closing time, upright and defiant as your stance when you challenge the puppets of power for what died the sons of Roisin. Like your voice, unweathered by time, this granite gravestone, your epitaph, a simple claim between the 2 great mysteries, your place, your name. Luke Kelly, Dubliner, 1940, 1984.
Lovely. Beautiful job. That was wonderful, John Sheehan.
Thank you, sir.
Now, you're going to play a couple of tunes for us.
Yeah, maybe 3, one more than a couple. 2 hornpipes, The Showman's Fancy and The Wonder Hornpipe, and a reel called, I think it's The Swallow's Tail, is it, Bernie?
Swallow's Tail. The Swallow's Tail.
Everybody ready?
You're listening to Céili House on RTE Radio 1, and tonight we pay tribute to the memory of Luke Kelly. Luke sadly passed away 20 years ago. We remember him with great fondness tonight, and what better way to remember him than with members of the Dubliners, Barney McKenna, John Sheehan, Ronnie Drew and Eamon Campbell. And that brings me to you, Ronnie Drew, the quiet one of the pack.
There you are, Kieran, yeah. I'll be as quiet as I can.
Ronnie, yourself and Luke, of course, a great partnership for many, many years.
I met Luke first in the International Bar in Wicklow Street. There was sessions going on all over the place, and that was one of the places. And I think it must have been 1962. I'm not great at dates, but I think it was about 1962. And we had a bit of a chat and found out we had similar interests. And eventually Luke started dropping into Dunahill's, and that's where I used to meet him. And Barney, myself, used to go in there, and then we met Luke and Kieran Burke, and that's how it all... It wasn't actually sort of, there was no Magna Carta or anything signed. It was just, you know, it all happened. And next thing somebody asked us to sing for a few bob, and we said, yeah, why not? So we're doing it.
And you've been doing it ever since?
Yeah, some of the time.
Now, I don't know, do people fully understand, Ronnie, the impact that you had across Europe? We witnessed it ourselves when we were over in Holland with you maybe about 15 years ago. No, it's actually about 25 years ago now. I'm a little older than I thought. But huge impact, huge reaction across Germany and Holland.
There was a fantastic reaction in Holland and Germany and all those places. We had a song which, strangely enough, was given to us by Joe Heaney, Shortsbow Heaney. And Joe used to be in Dunhill, and he gave me this song called Seven Drunken Nights. And that was heard with a whimsical song, you know, it wasn't a great song, it was a whimsical song. There are versions of it all over the world. And they played it and played it and played it, and the people in Germany and Holland and all heard it. So that opened up that area for us. But I think by us going there, we opened it up for other people as well, you know. That's not to say because we were first there we were the best, but we were one of the first to be there, and other people then came after. We kind of opened up that market, I think. All the whole Germany, Holland, and Denmark, Sweden, Norway, all those Nordic countries, you know.
Now, if I was to ask you for a memory of Luke, what would it be, your finest memory of him?
Well, probably my best memory with Luke was when he took ill in Mannheim in Germany, and he was taken to Heidelberg, and that was on a night, you know, like tonight. And then the next day we had a day off, so I travelled by train to Heidelberg, and I didn't know what hospital Luke was in, but so I asked some policeman, and apparently the place is full of neurological hospitals. So eventually I found, he pointed to one, and that happened to be the one Luke, the Lord was in. So I went in there, asked for Luke, and Luke came down to see me, and we sat chatting there, I'm sure, for about 3 or 4 hours. And that was really great to have that opportunity to do that. And I think probably at the time he knew he wasn't well, as they say. And I really didn't have any conversation with him after that, because when the Dubliners come home, we used to come home in December from Germany, and we wouldn't really meet till after. And then the next thing I knew, Luke was gone. But I was delighted to have had that conversation with him, because Luke and I had much the same beliefs. We were coming from different angles, but we had much the same when we talked about politics and religion, and we stabbed a few backs as well, and, you know, the usual stuff, you know.
It's harmless fun.
Harmless fun, yeah. But it was with a great conversation, and I always remember that.
Are you going to sing a song for us?
Yeah, well, Luke, Lord of Mercy, one day met Paddy Kavanagh in, of all places, a pub, and he said to Luke, would you not sing my song, Luke? And Luke said, what song is that, Paddy? And he said, Raglan Road. And Luke sang probably the definitive version of this song, but it's a fine song, so I'm going to have a go at singing it.
Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Drew.
On Raglan Road of an autumn day, I saw her first and knew that her dark hair would weave a snare that I might one day rue. I saw the danger, yet I walked along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a fallen leaf at the dawning of the day. On Grafton Street in November, we tripped lightly along the ledge of the deep ravine where can be seen the worth of passion's pledge. Oh, the Queen of Hearts, still making tarts, and I not making hay. Oh, I loved it too much, and by such is happiness thrown away. I gave her gifts of the mind, I gave her the secret sign that's known to the artists who have known the true gods of sound and stone, and word and tint I did not stint, for I gave her poems to say, with her own name there, and her own dark hair, like clouds over fields of May. Quiet street where old ghosts meet, I see her walking now, away from me so hurriedly. My reason must allow that I had loved not as I should, a creature made of clay. When the angel woos the clay, he'd lose his wings at the dawn of day. When the angel woos the clay, he'd lose his wings at the dawn of day.
But I won't mention Luke's name either. Okay, if I can remember it now.
Take it away, Bernie. With Eamon Campbell on guitar, that was the greatest Barney McKenna on the tenor banjo. Great stuff, Barney. Beautiful. And if you've just tuned in to Céili House here on RTE Radio 1, a reminder that we're celebrating the memory of Luke Kelly, who passed away 20 years ago yesterday. But I suppose to continue the celebration of his memory and his contribution, a song now that was recorded in Johnny Fox's pub on the 19th of May in 1963. And I just heard tonight, actually, that the 19th of May was John Sheehan's birthday. So maybe they were celebrating John Sheehan's birthday party, 1963, in Johnny Fox's pub. But this is Luke singing, well, one of the songs that he sang at that session, beautiful Scottish song called Corridoon. Corridoon, 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 my darling, Corridoon, the day. Corridoon, 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 my darling, Corridoon, the day. Lie down, my dear, and in your ear to help me close your eyes. I'll sing to you a slumber tune, a miner's lullaby. Corridoon, Corridoon, my darling, Corridoon, the day. Corridoon, Corridoon, my darling, Corridoon, the day. Your daddy is doing, my darling, doing in the Carbly Main.
mine, my darling, darkness, dusk and that we man hay or heat or light or fire and or land. Coody-doo, my darling, coody-doo, the day. Coody-doo, 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 my darling, coody-doo, the day.
That was the voice and banjo playing of Luke Kelly from 1963, recorded up there in Johnny Fox's in Glencullen, Coorydune. And Des Geraghty, I was asking there if you remember that song.
I did. In fact, Luke had a great affinity for Scottish songs. He picked up a lot of very, very good songs in Britain and a lot of very, very radical Scottish songs. He was very close with Ewan MacColl in Britain. And like Ewan MacColl, he was kind of a revolutionary at the time, and indeed Pete Seeger in the United States. So Luke was more than an entertainer. He was part of a whole upsurge of ordinary people's feelings about war, about the ban the bomb, against the war in Vietnam, and about the condition of ordinary people and working people. So he had a much more universal appeal than just an entertainer. Actually, I knew Barney McKenna first. We both worked in the post office, and Barney sensibly got out before me. And I remember John Sheen used to play in Church Street, but in those days the only place you get Irish music was up in the Pipers Club in Thomas Street or in Church Street, little back rooms and a small group of people. And some of us moved between O'Neill's pub and Donoghue's pub on Merrion Row, and there was something born out of that, where people began to listen to Irish music, but also to see it in an international context. It wasn't just local, because if you listen to Luke's songs, they're universal. They're about ordinary people, about struggles, about people's lives. And I think he gave confidence to ordinary Dubliners. So I think the epitaph of Dubliner is absolutely perfect. Because this was the first time the Dublin accent, the singing, the tradition, the whole history behind it came into its own. And it linked up with that culture which had been associated with rural Ireland. But people didn't know there was a great tradition of traditional music in the city as well.
How should we remember Luke Kelly 20 years after his death?
I have a feeling that Luke would have been on this platform singing about Iraq. He would have been out there screaming about homelessness. Luke would have been letting people know that there were things to be sorted out in this world, and his voice would have been heard. But I remember Luke as a fantastic campaigner who came here for nothing frequently to Liberty Hall and sang for all kinds of causes. And that was reflected in his music and indeed in the Dubliners, who were always very generous with their time, like they are tonight. And for that we're proud of them as Dubliners. And all of us should be proud of the fact that Dublin regained its place in the role of traditional music. And not only just as a local thing, but as an international phenomenon, which I believe is very powerful.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Des Geraghty. Thanks, Des, and we'd like to welcome back on stage the Kelly Ensemble. Jimmy Kelly, you caused a bit of a stir as you arrived on stage there.
Well, if I did, it's because of the Kelly Ensemble, certainly not myself.
Now, of course, you invited a lot of the musicians here tonight. You mentioned Al O'Donnell, the Kelly Ensemble, the Dubs are here. A brother of Luke Kelly. Would you just give us a little of the family background to the Kellys? How many of you were there?
6 of us, and there's 4 of us here tonight. We were born and reared not a stone's throw from this historic building down here in the North Wall, and this is part of our world, the Kelly world. My father worked in Jacobs, and we lived down here in Lawrence's Mansions, which is knocked down now, in fact, Dublin in the rare old times. Luke, in fact, worked in Jacobs. Paddy worked in Jacobs. Bessie worked in Jacobs. Myself and John worked in Jacobs. Myself and Mona were the only two who didn't work in Jacobs. So it was a very Jacob-y thing. It was a very biscuits out of orientated family. Broken family. And the broken biscuits, of course, were always brought home on a Friday. Yeah, and well, I suppose talking about Luke, yeah, I think we're very privileged, in fact, as brothers and sisters of Luke, and that's reflected, of course, in his great singing, and which is still alive today. And one of the great things about it was the numbers of people who, when they would get to know who I am and my relationship, they would compliment the Luke singing, and I think that's the great thing I have to say about him.
And where did the singing come from in the family?
I think it was my father who was music hall. He learned all the music hall songs, and we would sit around the fire down here in Lancashire Mansions, and that's where the singing came from.
And were both your father and mother from Dublin?
Oh yes, very much so. Very much so.
So you're the real thing.
Well, I'm trying to establish, in fact, that we do have a grandfather who was born in Westmeath in Athlone, and I can't put a handle on him yet, but I will. But certainly, yes, we are Dublin to the core.
The search is on for the Kelly grandfather right in Westmeath. Do you know who might find him for you, actually? Paddy O'Shea. Paddy O'Shea, look him up for you.
Yeah.
So you're going to sing a song for us now in the family tradition.
Okay, we'll do a song called Song for Ireland.
Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Kelly.
Walking all the days near tall towers where falcons build their nest. Silver winged they fly, they know the call of freedom in their breast. Saw black head against the sky like twisted rocks that run down to the sea. Living on your western shore, saw summer sunsets, I asked for more. I stood by your Atlantic Sea and sang a song of Ireland. Talking all the days with true friends who'd love to make you stay, telling jokes and news and singing songs to pass the night away. Saw the Galway salmon run like silver dancing, darting in the sun. Living on your western shore, saw summer sunsets, I asked for more. I stood by your Atlantic Sea and sang a song of Ireland. Drinking all the days in old pubs where fiddlers love to play. Saw one take a bow and he played a reel, it seemed so grand and gay. Stood on Dingle Beach and cast in wild foam I found Atlantic bass. Living on your western shore, saw summer sunsets, I asked for more. I stood by your Atlantic Sea and sang a song of Ireland. Dreaming in the night, I see a land where no man has to fight. Waking in your dawn, I see you crying in the morning light. Lying where the falcons fly, they twist and turn all in your air blue sky. living on your western shore. Saw summer sunsets, I asked for more. I stood by your Atlantic sea, and I sang a song for Ireland.
The voice of Jimmy Kelly with the Kelly Ensemble. Beautiful stuff there. John Sheehan, you're back with us. Quickly, you have a tune and a special guest with you on stage.
Yeah, this is a tune I wrote called The Merino Casino. And yeah, there you are. We have to have a follow-up to the Walls Show. We have to do something. Merino Casino, and this is my daughter Keola here, who also plays the fiddle. She's got a little harmony part, and Eamon Campbell on the guitar. So, Merino Casino.
Lovely. Take it away. And that's almost it for Céili House. My thanks to everybody who took part in the programme tonight, and thanks especially to the Kelly family, and we're delighted that they're with us in the audience tonight as well. And indeed to the icon that is Luke Kelly. Long may his memory and his music be with us. On sound for RTE, Tony Lyons and Eddie O'Halloran. On sound here at the venue in Liberty Hall, Brian Tracy. From producer Peter Brown and from me, Kieran Hanrahan, we're going to leave you now with a few tunes from the Kelly Ensemble. Until next time on Céili House, slán go fóill.
Céili House was presented by Kieran Hanrahan and produced by Peter Brown. Tonight's programme is available on an audio file on the Céili House website at rte.ie/Radio1. Or you can email the programme on ceili@rte.ie. This is RTE Radio 1. It's 10 o'clock.